Corrections? Oh, we're live now. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, guys, welcome. The first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna do a quick intro. Everybody's gonna introduce themselves. I put the channels in the description box. So if you want to subscribe to anyone in the panel, just go ahead and visit. Go into the description box and click on the channel and all that good stuff. We're gonna be talking about preparing. What are we going to prepare for? How are we going to prepare for that? What's most likely going to be the threat, or most likely going to be the situation that we have to prepare for? People play around, but most likely is not going to be. Most likely it's not going to be zombies. It's going to be a real threat. So we're going to talk about all those things. Like I said, first name introduction going from my right. So Stone Guy, you want to do a quick intro?
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is Stone Guy 223. Appreciate everybody tuning in.
Cool. Nick?
Nick, Praxi Tactical.
GI?
Yeah, Joe, I got another channel handled that, and mine is last of the key. Last of the key is one word with a K-I at the end.
Cool. You're breaking up a little bit there, brother.
Oh, yeah.
If you try, if he's got his camera on, I can't tell. If you adjust your bandwidth down, that'll usually help you come in a little clearer.
I don't even know how to do that.
Nick?
A little gear setting at the top where it says setting. I think it's in there.
You see it?
No.
Alright, take your mouse and hover it around the center of the screen right above your icon picture, and this little bar will pop up. And it'll be like a little wedge-shaped ramp-looking thing.
Great. Okay, that.
Yeah, this looks like a little ramp or a little volume control. It'll say, if you hover your mouse over that, it'll say adjust bandwidth. And you can, it'll turn your, if you just turn your camera off, that'll help, but you can adjust it down too a little bit.
Okay. What is it doing here?
It's making you blurrier than Bigfoot, buddy.
Yeah, if you blur, like, you probably just take it all the way down. That way it'll just shut your camera off.
It's not giving me that option.
Yeah, if you go all the way to the bottom, your camera will go off. You'll see the little red camera next to it. It'll turn red.
It's not even giving me that drop down. I'm going to cancel out and because it's not helping.
Yeah, I think we can hear you better though.
There. How's that?
Yeah. All right, Butch, you want to do a quick intro?
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Tony, aka Bush Hunt. What's up?
And Fire 4.
Hey, 504 Dirt Dart. Evening, everybody.
Cool.
I thought there was one dart.
Long dart. Depends on the landing.
It's a great game.
Appreciate everybody that is watching. We got a bunch of regular guys here that typically here with us. So I appreciate that. So I guess the first thing before we go into how to prepare, what do you guys think is going to be the most likely scenario, or most likely the threat that we are going to encounter? Starting from Stone Guy, what do you think is going to be the situation that we're going to be facing?
Me personally, I would say the most imminent or realistic would have to be natural disaster. Hurricane, flood, that type of stuff. But in a little bit more extreme or tinfoil hat type scenario, I would say, like an EMP or a solar flare is kind of what I prepare for in a way.
Okay. What about you, Nick? What do you think?
On a national, I mean, I think Stone Guy's right for, I mean, a local, regional located thing. Yeah, natural disaster. Nationwide would have to be financial collapse based on the fact of we already have 17, 18 trillion dollars in debt that we have no plan for, let alone the anywhere estimated between 80 to 135 trillion dollars in unfunded liabilities. It'll be a financial collapse. Financial collapse.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty big one on that one too. What about you, Butch? Butch, what do you think, Tony?
Um, Natural disaster is, on top of the list, especially here with the hurricanes and stuff. And it's always in the back of my mind what happened with Katrina and taking people's guns and stuff.
Hmm.
So that'll be next.
Yeah, especially down there because you guys have the one in what 1995, Hurricane
1994.
94 Andrew that destroyed it like
Yeah, it pretty much
lot.
flattened out Homestead, which is that whole area.
Hmm.
So you never know when the next one is gonna hit.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. What about you, File 4? What do you think?
Yeah, it's natural disasters. Up here in the Northwest, we've got volcanoes and earthquakes, and I live on next to a river that's got a couple of dams on it. So
Yeah,
there's all kinds of stuff like that, and then we've got on a national level and probably a world level, we've got some real problems ahead that nobody's wanting to deal with. So you've got to figure that things are going to get real expensive here in the next decade,
yep.
food and water and everything else. So I think that's going to be more of an impact down the road, but it's something
yeah,
that you need to prepare for now. You need to be
yeah,
ready for food, energy, water to be very expensive and harder to get.
Are
yeah,
you guys seeing an increase in your grocery bill in your areas?
Oh yeah, huge.
yeah,
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which
and
of
then
course,
out here on the West Coast, we've got Safeway, big grocery chain, and Albertsons, another big grocery chain, getting together. So we're seeing, more consolidation in the grocery field, which, be the same as the banking industry. It's just going to make everything more expensive.
yeah, yeah,
and also when our government calculates inflation, what are the two things they don't take into account? Food and gas. So they keep saying inflation's not going up, but for anybody that balances a home budget and buys groceries, they're getting way more expensive.
yeah. And
Yep.
Hmm.
gas, man, gas is a pretty good bill. I mean, you're looking. I mean, we spend like $200 easy a month in gas, so
Yeah.
it's a
Oh
pretty
yeah.
good bill.
And the thing that's really kept inflation, or at least helped keep it in check for the last 10 years, has been China shipping us stuff at cost. We
Hmm.
get our cheap stuff at Walmart, but that boat's sailed, man. China's wanting to make some money now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Their
yeah,
people
yeah.
want cars and stuff too.
Hmm. I'm that's pretty much what I think. I think if something's gonna happen, is most likely it's gonna be a hurricane or something like that, and economic collapse. But I see the Daily Shooter here. He's talking about cyber terrorists and like a cyber terrorist attack, and that's something that it could very well happen, and it happens um, pretty much all the time. It's happening, but the American people are not really aware. And if you have a situation where they attack our financial system or something, and we cannot go and access our money, you cannot buy food, you cannot buy gas, you cannot provide for your family. It could be a big deal. I mean, Americans flip out when they cannot access their Facebook account. So
Yeah,
if you can,
that happened to us in California back in 2012. We lost a internet trunk line for 3 days, and I mean, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't go write a check at your own bank. The bank could
yeah,
not cash a check.
I actually
Well, the
I
scariest part about the cyber attack type thing is it used to be that software was proprietary, like for banking terminals and stuff inside the bank, and they had their own closed network. But now what they've done pretty much is they've switched over from Unix system to Windows, which is highly insecure,
Yep.
and it's almost like they've planned for it to be a weakness.
Yeah.
So that is definitely part of the plan for them to have a financial collapse. But what I'm thinking is that it's actually leading up to something else. Because if you look at history, most financial collapses lead to a war. And we know that our administration, for some stupid reason, seems to be dead set on getting us involved in the next world war.
Hmm.
But that's my take on it.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, some type of cyber attack could create a lot of issues. And a couple of months ago, I was actually traveling, and I stopped at a gas station to fill my tank. I wasn't home. I was traveling, and I put my card in, and my card was declined. And so now I'm thinking, what the heck? And how is my card declined? I got money and I'm traveling. So I called the bank right there at the gas station, and it was the whole thing with Target. They canceled my account. They canceled my card. So I found myself traveling through different states with my bank account, canceled. And I had to wait 2 weeks, and I actually had to wait until I came back home because my bank is local. They don't have a bank like they don't have that bank in where I was going. So and it was over the weekend, it was a Friday, so I found myself in that situation. So I guess having extra cash, like I had cash with me, I always have a little bit of money on me just in case something happened. I have that cash that I could pay and things like that. So I mean, that could have been something bad where I find myself in a different state and I don't even have money to put gas, and it could happen. If something happened, we get attacked, and the financial system goes down, people will not have money to buy their supplies. So what do you guys think that they have to do to kind of mitigate that?
Stock some away on the side, get a fireproof safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I tend not to keep, my cash and where I can't access it. I'm not gonna. People say, oh, it's safe in a safety deposit box or a bank, but if you do have some kind of disaster or, you know, uh, something goes wrong, everything's shut down, without rule of law kind of deal, then how it's not like you can call the banker and tell them to come open the bank real quick so you can get your money out.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and some people had the entire life saving in the bank. I mean, but then again, I mean,
I bet most people nowadays don't. People don't
Yeah,
carry
not
cash like
anymore.
they used to.
Nowadays, most people live check by check, and that's all they know.
Yeah.
yeah.
Nobody saves anymore.
Well, my
Well, yeah.
grandmother was probably the last one that actually had a large life savings. And she's getting to the point now where she knows that she's going to die eventually pretty soon. So what she's doing is she's distributing that money out, and she's telling all of her children, my dad included,
Mhm.
to invest in some land. So he's trying to shop around for some land instead of hanging on to all kinds of cash in the bank.
Yeah, and this is when I was thinking about this topic. There's a lot of channels here on YouTube that they're typically, recommending you to prepare for the end of the war, and zombies are coming down, or Chinese people jumping from the sky, and and you got to get your cool AR-15 with the new mounts and the new ACOG and this and that. Come on, man. We need to prepare for the basic things, the basic a preparation. Just like if you're gonna go traveling and you put a jack in the back of your car and a spare tire, the most likely thing that will happen is that people are gonna find themselves with no resources, and they're gonna try to steal it from somebody else. And I got to tell you, what was a couple of months ago, I found myself totally in lockdown. We couldn't even leave the house because of the snow, and the city cleared all the big highways, but didn't really clear the inside roads or whatever. So we couldn't even leave the house for, I think it was like 4 days.
How much are
So
we talking?
no, I mean, it's North Carolina. It was like, I don't know, like 10 inches or something. But we just and and that's exactly what I'm saying. A lot of guys, when I know I put a couple of things here in you too, and a couple of guys were like, well, in New York or I got it, brother. I got it. I live in New York back in 1995, but we just like Stone Guy down in Georgia, we just
Yeah,
don't have the capability to deal with that situation. We didn't here in the state. We just couldn't go and clear the roads. So, and when I say we, I mean the state couldn't do it.
right. Because that's probably the same storm we're talking
Hmm.
about that hit
Yeah, yeah,
us
it was the
first and
same.
then hit you. And I'm in Atlanta, and we only got about 3 inches of ice and snow, but it literally shut the city down,
Hmm.
crippled our interstate system, and people were stranded on the interstate
Yep.
for 2 days. There was reports of people going car to car looking for water. I know one lady had an infant. She needed to mix up. She had baby formula but didn't have any water, so she was going from car to car, seeing if someone had an extra bottle of water so she could feed her kid. Just simple things like that that you take for granted. And you're exactly right. That's the kind of stuff you need to just be prepared for,
Hmm.
all the time.
And that's something that I try to pass here in my channel, and I'm not an expert. Like I always say, I'm not an expert by any means. You don't need to have a Remington 700 with $1,000 scope. I mean, it would be nice. I'm waiting for that day because that would be nice. Hopefully for Christmas, maybe.
It's nice.
Especially the one with the threaded barrel. If my wife happens to listen to this, but basic supplies to a pistol, 9 mil pistol, 40, 45, whatever. One pistol that is reliable, one rifle that is reliable. A little bit of water, a little bit of food, just the basic supplies versus zombies coming down and you need a brand new flat jacket that you're never gonna use. Trust me, I got a million pictures here on my computer, me wearing the cool flat jacket, but that was in Afghanistan and Iraq. In the United States, most likely you're not gonna use it. I'm not saying you don't need to have it, because if something ever happened where Chinese guys are coming from the sky, I will join the militia and I will fight back. I won't let some country take over this country. It would not happen. I would do that. But a lot of people, it seemed to me like a lot of people go and prepare for that first versus getting the basic fundamentals or preparing or whatever we want to call it. The basic stuff versus the I'm way too cool and you too to have stuff.
Right.
Not making
Well,
any sense.
well, and that's the big thing that I try to stress to people, because the word prepper, the terminology prepper, is seemed to have a real negative connotation to the general public, and the way the media has portrayed it in some aspects. Um, and so whenever you say you're a prepper, people are like, oh, they automatically think you're crazy tinfoil bunker hat, people that are, burying themselves underground, and it's not that at all. I tell people, I say, well, you carry a spare tire in your car, right? And
Yep.
they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, well, you're a prepper. I mean, you're prepared for, something that could happen.
Right.
It's no different than what we do. We just, go a step further and prepare for multiple, possibilities, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, and the way I look at it too is, I mean, look how many families survived during the Great Depression by just keeping basics around the home. I mean, for me growing up, my grandma, my great aunt, all my family always had canned foods and can their own food and all this type of stuff. And back then it wasn't prepping. That's just what you did, because you never know when hard times are going to come. You never know when something's going to happen. So it's always good. And of course, it's just cheaper that way too. And now it's turned into this whole like almost derogatory term that I think is kind of stupid. I don't understand how preparing for something bad happening is a bad or derogatory thing. It drives me insane.
Right.
I think it's because some people like always, some people are going to make other people look crazy and radical. And nowadays, I mean, just because you wear an American flag, you will be considered radical. Why are you wearing an American flag? Like, are you serious?
No, but
You know?
what you're saying is right, and the media doesn't help. The TV, Discovery Channel or the History Channel, whoever had the prepping show, they make these guys look like all paranoid psycho guys.
Yeah, the doomsday preppers. They couldn't have picked
Yeah.
a worse group to like or to expose, I guess, for lack of a better term, or to.
Right. And that's what people have as an image of like those psychos.
Yeah, now I mean, and you guys could probably talk about this. We complain here in the United States that this happened and all that stuff, but we know that there's a lot of countries out there where people are just getting killed for no reason. I mean, I was checking out this story of this girl. I don't know, you guys probably saw this already, but she was sentenced to death by hanging because she believes in God. She's a Christian girl. So she's pregnant right now. She's in jail. The moment that she gives birth to her baby, she's gonna be hanged. And I can't remember the country right now. You guys heard about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't remember what country, but
yeah, it's crazy. So I mean, I know in Afghanistan the Taliban would go and kill, terminate villages. You know, they would just go into a village and kill everyone. That's just how they do it. So even though we think that we're in a bad place and we see a lot of bad things, this is much better much better than many countries out there. But again, that's because what we have done. You know, we as people, society, we have made sure that those things don't happen here. But I guess what I'm trying to go with this is like, why you guys think that we need to prepare now versus 5 years ago or 10 years in the future? Why should we start right now preparing?
Because
No time
Obama.
is present.
Because it's expensive to prepare.
Okay, one at a time.
You can't do it all at once.
Go ahead, file for it. Go ahead.
Well, it's just so expensive to prepare. Food and water and all that stuff is not cheap. So it's most of us can only do it a little bit of a time. So if you want to be prepared for something 5 years down the road, you better be doing it now, a little bit at a time.
It does cost money. Go ahead, Stone.
I was just gonna say, I think, and I just just maybe just me, but I think a big reason why we're seeing I don't know what the term is. I guess a more widespread, people being more prepared and getting behind the prepper movement, so to speak, is because of the natural disasters that have occurred. With Katrina, with like the tornadoes in Oklahoma and different things like that seem, just a lot of bad stuff has gone down, and people are starting to take notice that, hey, we might need to be prepared for something like that. That could happen to us. I mean, obviously in the history of, of our country, we've had things like that before, but I think, here recently, it seems like we've had a lot more natural disasters kind of back to back or within a short period of time that's gotten more of the general, populace to take notice.
Probably because we have different platforms where we can inform people too. Because something happened, people will quickly record it and put it in YouTube. So I guess having this type of platform kind of and what we do in our channel is kind of educating people and kind of passing information. Is making people realize that they need to prepare. Because that's my mission. My mission is to pass on information that I learned and try to do a little bit to help people. Now, I'm not an operator. I'm not going to teach you how to be an operator, but I can teach you a little bit things and a couple of things that may help you survive a situation. So in File 4, you made a great point, man. It gets expensive, and that's why I kind of always tell people, hey, look, prepare the right way. You don't need to buy a 30-06. A 30-06 costs money. Those bullets cost money. Stick to the 9mm, stick to the 308, or get a shotgun. Target rounds will kill a person, and you could buy 100 in Walmart for I don't even know how much. What, 20 something bucks? So
Well, just look at the type of ammo that the military uses. Ain't nothing special.
there's nothing special. Yeah, I mean, man, I laugh at some of these people talking about, 45 versus this. Come on, man, you want to get shot with a 22? Because I don't want to get shot with a 22. You
Yeah,
know?
any hole's a bad hole.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
It'll mess
I
up
mean,
your day.
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure at a long distance, and I know this for a fact, according to the bullet and the ballistics and this and that and whatever. But in real life, you're gonna learn how to shoot properly. But I'm telling you, in Fire 4 you could probably do this, and Stone Guy, you guys know some of those things. At one point, you may have to put your head down and shoot this way, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Gee, I would
Well, I
tell you,
hope not.
all that fancy stuff that you see on YouTube may go out the window very quick.
Yep.
Everybody has a plan till you get punched in the face.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we got bullets
Isn't
flying
that called
back at you.
suppressive fire?
So, yeah, I guess the point would be is stick to things that don't cost too much money. Like, um, I got several pistols in 9 mil, and that is my prepper. I'm not my prepper round. I'm not saying I don't a 40 or a 45. Yeah, if I got extra money, I'll pick up. Like I got a 357, but I'm gonna stick to the 9 mil. Those are my guns for an off the wall situation. My 9 mil, that's what I prep for. Everything else, I just got a little bit of because that's not my prepping. And what will you guys say about that?
Well, I would
think
take.
that's smart. Yeah.
I mean, in the aspect of like, end of the world without rule of law, defend home thing, I would take the Jaeger approach and pistols hurt people and let them run away. Rifles kill. That's just a simple fact.
But I think what as far as his philosophy or his logic with just the duplicity of ammunition, I think is smart to where you can have
Oh, yeah,
several
yeah.
weapon platforms with the same ammunition. And for prepping, obviously that's a big plus because you could have one big case of 9 millimeter that would supply several firearms that you could arm your family or friends with. So
Yeah, no, on that aspect, 100%. I mean,
Yeah,
if you
that's
have
definitely a plus.
500 rounds of 45, 500 of 40, and 500 of 9, that's great. But 1,500 rounds of 9 mm is better.
yeah,
What do you guys think is a good amount of rounds? You know what I'm saying? What do you think would be a good amount of rounds that you would have and you feel comfortable? Like for example, me, I think if I have 5,000 rounds on 9 mil, I'll be okay.
yeah. I was
Yeah,
gonna
but
say
you can't carry
3.
all
Would
that
be
with
okay.
you.
Go ahead, Butch. What do you think about that?
I always say that 2,000 rounds for every gun. But it also depends how many guns you have, and what the situation is. Um,
What do you think, Stone Guy?
I don't know.
Yeah, mine is right around 2 or 3. I try to keep because I'm kind of like you. I've got 3 M4s. So obviously in the 5.56, I've got probably more 5.56, and then I do have several 9 millimeters as well. And I'm kind of probably 2,000 to 3,000 of handgun. I think would be sufficient.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I cannot carry 5,000 rounds.
Yeah.
But but the problem with this is that we have you guys probably do too. We're gonna have family members and all the people that just fail to protect themselves, and you're gonna have to resupply for them, or you're gonna have to tell, I don't know, your brother or somebody, hey, look, you can't come into my house. In that type of situation, you may have to give your brother a 9 mil pistol and rounds. So it's kind of like you prepare for them too. And I'm sure you guys deal with that.
It took me the longest time to bite the bullet and buy ammunition because I was, when I first got into firearms and competition shooting and different things like that, I was I would always buy guns. And then I don't remember one day, I think it was actually the guy at the gun shop, the owner of the one gun store I frequent. He said, "Well, man, how much ammo do you have?" And I said, "I don't know, a couple hundred rounds." He's like, "So you got hypothetical number here. You got 20 guns and 200 rounds of ammo." He said, "Next time you think about buying a gun, don't buy a gun, buy some ammo."
Yep.
Because realistically, I mean, you could have all the guns in the world, but if you don't have any ammo to feed them, they're not going to do you any good.
Yep. Big club.
Say again, GI.
I said, buying ammunition is just another club. It's just a big club.
And it goes.
A very expensive club.
It goes back to what Fire 4 was saying. I mean, I've been buying American Eagle, 124 grains, 115 grains, and you can find it here for about $13.99. So buy 2 packs, 100 rounds. That right there is like $28, and I'm not rich. That's a pretty good amount of money.
Yeah, American Eagle, Blazer, that goat cheese stuff. There's a lot of cheap ammo out there.
Did you just say goat cheese?
Goat cheese ammo? Might be.
But yeah, I'm with you, Jarhead. If you just, I try to buy, 1 or 2 boxes anytime I'm at a gun store, gun show. If the price is right, that way, cumulatively over time, it's before you know it, you've got a substantial amount of ammo.
Yeah.
If you don't have to buy it all at one time, it doesn't hurt the pocketbook quite as bad.
Yeah, and I like it because I think it was about a month ago I went to buy some rounds and they had it for about $17.99, and it just had enough that I could say no, I don't want to buy them right now. I'm gonna wait until the price is right, and I don't know. That's just kind of nice versus going out there and spending a lot of money just because you're flipping out because you only got I don't know a couple of hundred rounds. So. So yeah, definitely expensive. What do you guys think is all the items out there that they're pretty expensive too? Is food? Food is probably. I mean, I don't know how much food I got. I mean, I got enough, but what do you guys think you should prepare for when it comes down to the amount of time for how long you should prepare for?
I just got a question while you're on that, because this is something I've been kind of struggling with myself. But what are your guys' opinion on? Would you say freeze dried food or just like I guess canned food or that Mountain House
just
stuff?
Regular canned food.
I didn't know if you thought one was
I'll get an extra can and throw it into storage.
I say that and a big bag of rice.
I didn't know what you thought of, if one was better than the other, because I've heard, differing, trains of thought on that.
Tony's down there from Miami, so he probably wants rice and beans.
Hey man, no, but like rice, you can get a lot of rice. You get a big bag and it's cheap, so you can last a long time off of that.
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
So
my strategy is not to change my menu a bit, man. I'm gonna plan on eating the same way I'm eating now. So except I probably won't have as much meat.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I do too. Like, I remember eating some disgusting stuff in combat, but if you have the opportunity to prep some stuff that you like.
That's what I do. It's just the same stuff we normally eat, man. I just put a little bit away.
I would say having discipline too, though. If you find yourself in that situation, you just cannot. You have to have discipline when it comes to eating, like 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day, and you have to have that discipline. You just can't go to the fridge and eat like a pig, because you don't know how long you. Yeah.
I only stockpile macaroni and cheese and Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Right on.
That's it. Happens when you have so many kids like I do. That's.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got like 5 kids in there, like 6 or 7 at least.
I don't even know how many kids I have. I come home.
I looked for an expiration date on Kraft mac and cheese the other day, and there isn't even one.
Yeah.
It's like
I think it's
diamonds or
for
something.
all that stuff. I mean, if you put canned goods on the shelf, that'll hold you down for something that's going to keep you in the home.
Mhm.
If you got beans and rice, that's great because then it's not going to too much. You got to foods too because the freeze dried stuff is lightweight compared to the other stuff, so that's a good option for if you had to leave.
I think I got like half of that.
I don't know what he said.
You're like
Yeah,
breaking
you're
up
breaking
really
up
bad.
pretty bad.
Wow. This is just not my day for this.
Good point, dog. Good point. No, like seriously, GI always make excellent points. That's why I love to invite you here, brother. So I'm sure it was a good point. Hey, Nick, you know how to fix that, man?
Restart the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Really?
Probably.
Yeah, you could
Now,
try refreshing.
You want to sign out and sign back in, GI?
Yeah, let's do that. I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right, so I think I lost it for a little bit. What we were talking about?
Food.
Food. There we go.
Food, yeah.
Yeah, food. Yeah, I mean that's a lot of. I go back to this, and I said it many times. People, you know, all 17 guys are watching. It is not government's responsibility to take care of you. You know, it is not the government's responsibility to provide you with a police officer for you to be safe and provide you with food. That is your responsibility. So a lot of guys are expecting, you know, if something ever happened, we're gonna wait into the federal government to come down here and give you support. And people don't know that is maybe it's gonna happen, but it's gonna take 3 weeks to a month for those guys to show
it
up.
might be the last thing in the world that you want too, because their idea of support may be a little bit different than yours.
I asked some
You may
people.
find yourself in a compound somewhere, you know, living in a trailer, eating government cheese.
Wow.
And not to mention, too, I mean, this is a Supreme Court case, and it has been ruled that there is no guaranteed protection by any means. There is no. You have to take care of yourself. I can't remember what Supreme Court case it was, like what 35 or 40. That there is no guaranteed protection by any means.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, you can't expect the government to protect you, like protect yourself. I don't understand why people are under that impression that the government needs to protect you. Get yourself a CCW, get yourself a gun, and protect yourself. You know, I mean I preach that in my channel a lot. But again, 504 made a good point. You may show up to some type of camp, federal camp or something, in a FEMA camp, and Americans typically have an issue with following orders, and you may find yourself into, you know, not a concentration camp, but pretty close to it.
Look what happened at the Superdome. All the people that got put in there, that turned into basically a doors open prison.
Every person for themselves.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks, government.
I think it's just the people have been conditioned by the government because there is so much government support. You know, you got generations of people that really don't know anything else except government support and help and funding and different things like that. So they come to expect it, or you know, to feel entitled to it to a certain extent.
Well, yeah, that's because they've been conditioned. You know, if you look at a lot of the wars and disasters that happen, the first thing on the news is they have a statement from the government that says they're going to do such and such. And so people are conditioned to expect that, you know, Superman's going to come to the rescue and we're not going to have to worry about anything, which is just not true. You know, plenty of people die expecting to be saved by somebody else.
Yep, exactly.
Trust no one. That's all I gotta say.
No, we must have lost Jarhead.
Oh crap! Yeah, we did.
NSA's not liking him very much tonight.
Yeah, they kicked him off his first chat too.
Yeah, he's hurting someone's feelings.
So does that mean that we're off air?
No.
Yeah.
Nah, we're still on.
Well, it's we're off to the broadcast. It'll show live on our end, but
We're
yeah,
off on the broadcast.
we're not live.
Huh.
Unless he comes back. I think he got like 5 or 10 minutes. If he doesn't come back, then it actually kills the link altogether.
No, it's still live. I'm checking.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Wow. Well, what I was saying before about food is that having all kinds of food is a good plan. Canned goods, your dry goods, freeze dried, because you can store that dry goods and your canned goods on the shelf. But if you need to get out in a hurry, that freeze dried stuff is good. It's good for mobility. It's lightweight. So,
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. What I should, if there was, definitely one better than the other, but that makes sense of portability and weight, just overall weight with the freeze-dried stuff.
And then catching too. I mean, that goes for food. That goes for ammo. You cannot, you can't carry everything with you. If you got a group, you can distribute some of that weight. But if you, on your own, or you've got a smaller group, you're going to have to catch some of that stuff ahead of time and then try to get to it. And
Well, that's a good point. I don't know if we've ever talked about that. Do you guys have friends and close family that you keep supplies at, other locations other than your house?
Yep.
Yep.
Only immediate family. On my side.
Only people you can really trust, right?
Right. Somewhat.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
How do I get kicked out of my own thing?
You're making the NSA mad.
Yeah, racist, man. Friggin'. These people are racist. They kicked me out. So, man, I used to have that pretty Jarhead 6 that Butch Hunt made me, and now I don't have it.
Great.
It's just like that. I can't operate like this.
Hey guys, I'm gonna turn the mic down. Tell me if it sounds good. How about that?
Yeah.
That
Yep.
good?
Yep.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
So yeah, what we were talking about right before I got kicked out? Oh, right now?
Food.
Food. Still on food.
Food,
Catching.
if you have enough for your family, or more than the people inside your house.
Yeah, and that goes back to what Fire 40 was saying with the whole expensive and bullets and all that. We're going to have to prep for our family as well. That just sucks, man, that we have to do that, but we're going to have to because they look at us as radicals, as you're not thinking straight because you're doing this and this and this and this. And why are you carrying a gun? You shouldn't carry a gun. And I think all the time, why not? It's my right to carry a gun. If I want to carry a gun, I'm going to carry a gun. So yeah, I definitely agree that we're going to have to prep for our families as well. So
Now, obviously, this will be, conditional depending on your circumstance. But in general, what do you guys feel like is an acceptable amount of food? Like, do you do like a 3 months worth or 2 months or?
I just keep building like 1 week at a time. So I just have menus of the meals we typically eat, in a week, and that goes in the box so I kind of know what to buy and stuff, and then I rotate that stuff out like, annually. And
Right now, I got 6 months of dry goods, but I mean, I'm constantly trying to expand it because, 6 months is a good start, but that's just dry stuff. I want to get cans, so I can have something besides that dry food
Right.
People are asking, prepper is a prepper.
Phoenix Prepper.
Yeah, asking how much Butch Hunt paid to be in this panel.
One bag of rice.
Right.
Oh man, that's funny, dude.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm down with GI. I think about 6 months is a pretty good foundation of prepping. About 6 months, and again, people, you don't have to make it there at once. I mean, File 4 made a good point. This is little by little. I've been prepping uh, for the last year now, since I retired from the Marine Corps, came back from Japan. I was in Japan and all this stuff, and it costs money. So little by little, that's why I stick to one gun. I stick to 9 mil because I don't have money to, well, I got a little bit, but I don't have a crazy amount of money to go up there and buy 600 rounds of 45 ACP. I just don't have that type of money right now. So stay to one caliber, a good amount of food. Try to, I guess, priority of your money, because people are not rich. If I had thousands of dollars, I could prep so easy. But let's see, what else? What else? Anything else you guys want to cover when it comes down to food and things like this? Anything you guys think? Oh, we good? Oh, we good on food? All right. If you guys got any questions, put it in the comments. I'm looking at the comments right now. A bunch of guys watching. A lot of regular guys that always follow me and always follow pretty much everyone here. So that's pretty cool. We appreciate you guys watching. Now, one thing that I wanted to say, and we kind of talk about it, but not much. I mean, people been killing people for the last 6,000 years, a higher amount of years. I mean, it just happened. So, but why you guys think that we need to prepare now? What's the big thing, like right now? If you tell somebody, start preparing now, what will be your reason why? Stone guy.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
If
I'm
you
breaking
if
up a
you
little bit.
yeah if you need to tell somebody start preparing now, what will be your reason why to start preparing right now?
I guess probably I don't know. That's a hard. I mean, I guess the number one reason now is historically speaking, you know, everything's on the increase. Inflation's not going away. So I mean, as a starting point now, I think it would behoove you because you're going to save money. If you wait 3 years, everything's going to be more expensive than if you would have started now.
I think it's usually pretty easy to convince somebody that they should at least prepare for like a 3-day power outage. Even the government pushes that thing. So it's usually pretty easy to convince somebody that that's a smart thing to do and that they're not a kook or something. And then I think once they've done that, it's kind of got the ice broken and it's a little easier to talk about longer term scenarios.
Yep. Okay.
I would agree with that. I think that's a really good way. I never thought of that. That's really good, I think.
I think it was whose website? It's not FEMA. It's, I don't know. Somebody talks about
Trust the government, but only for 3 days.
Yeah, maybe it's the Red Cross. Might be the Red Cross. They have a
because they said that after Katrina, they were like, if all these people would have had 3 days of reparations, then
that might be a Red Cross thing.
They'd have done a lot better. Well, it's kind of after the fact. But
yeah.
Yeah, I got a comment here, which is a pretty good point. We also got, you guys always see my dog running around. We got to prep for a pets too. We're gonna have to collect food, especially for our dogs and cats and things like that. That's something else that we're gonna have to prep for. And I'm just pretty much answering a comment that I got. But
dogs don't real well either, so it's kind of a challenge.
Yeah. Another thing that I tell people to prep for, or a lot of people don't think about, is just power. I mean, we always talk food, water, ammo, that kind of stuff. But I've been looking into solar options, solar panels, and just a good old-fashioned generator would go a long way. And that's more for short term as far as generator, because I know your gas will eventually dwindle away. But solar power is a good thing to look into if you're seriously considering.
Yeah, yeah. I one of the things that I tell people too all the time, because and pretty much when it comes to firearms, I mean, we are not safe anymore. There's no more safe ground. I mean, people are getting shot at the malls. People can even go to the movies. First of all, if you go to the movies and you got kids, and Nick will probably talk about this, it costs like $100 just to take your kids to the movies, which is ridiculous. Like easily.
Kids aren't worth it.
Yeah.
No, actually, funny enough, and I mean, I'll point it out. My kids do not go to a gun-free school, and they're perfectly safe, and I feel safer with that. But I chaperoned stupidly a bunch of teenage girls' trip to a movie theater, and the movie theater wasn't a gun-free zone. I mean, not that I'm saying for anyone to disobey laws, but I would have carried anyways. But it was nice to see actually a movie theater that wasn't a stupid gun-free zone.
You go open carry. I've seen guys open carry here in the movie theater.
Yeah,
So,
good.
yeah, but we in North Carolina. I prefer to conceal carry, but yeah, I mean, I don't care. I know Stone Guy is a big open carry guy. As long as you carry a gun, I'm perfectly okay with you carrying a gun. So
I don't know of any place in Oregon that can't take a gun except federal property.
yeah. So I mean, I tell people all the time that I mean, so much crime going on nowadays that it will be irresponsible of you not to have a gun to protect yourself and protect your family. I just don't see why people take that route. And I saw a video, on the Yankee Marshal put a video out months ago talking about Americans being victims and just running like victims. And I just refuse to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna allow one guy to take the life of my children and my wife because I failed to protect myself from those threats. I just refuse to find myself in that situation where a young kid wants to kill me just because his mom didn't give him attention. I just not gonna do it.
And
So-
dude, that's what's wrong with all these school shootings and stuff. If one teacher had a gun, it would end quick.
Yeah. And but you know what? And real quick, because that's kind of like off the topic, but to tell you the truth, and maybe you guys could jump into this, some people say, well, teachers should have a weapon. Oh, now I think it should be their personal choice.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think we should force teachers to carry guns. If they want to carry a gun, hey, do it. But I don't think we should force them. And because to tell you the truth, it kind of sucks, man. Like you go to school to be a teacher. You go to 4 years of college or whatever. You get your degree, and then you have to carry a gun. You went to school to be a teacher, not to be a Marine. Like you find Marines in combat. That's what you joined the Marine Corps for. To most likely you're gonna go to combat. So, but I do think that it is the state and the police responsibility at that point to provide some type of protection for our kids because we pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? So, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I'd say the only problem, and then I'll let people jump in. The only problem with that is they're saying gun-free zones make it safer. That's the problem you got to deal with.
Yeah, those people are just stupid, man. Like I don't even know how. Like what? Like you are supposed to be educated, man. Like 8 years of school. Like come on, man. Like common sense. Come on, guys. Common sense. So I don't even know what to say on that.
It's the education system. It's ran by liberals, so
Yeah.
can't fix it.
One thing that I would say though that and I go back to this. There a lot of times it's the lack of the parents. the lack of the parents, because you are allowing the state to raise your children without asking any questions. I mean, I understand that we are busy. I understand that we work and all that. But when you come from work, take a minute to ask your kid how he's doing. Asking, hey, what do you learn in school? What happened today in school? Tell me something and be involved.
Talk to them.
Yeah, talk to them. And when you see something off the wall, email the teacher. Like, it kills me to see these parents that are not involved, and then you got an iPhone or a Galaxy S4, S5, whatever it is nowadays, where you could just go like this and send an email and be informed. And it just kills me that we are not being informed and we're not being involved in our kids' life. You know what I'm saying? What you gotta say, GI? And Brian's in the house. Careful, guys. Stop talking bad about Brian.
Hey, Brian.
I don't think it's there.
Well, I would say the biggest point, and this hits home for me because obviously for those that know I do foster care. Kids that are born into, not married parents, to a single parent. I think only one out. I think it's 6 or 7 out of 10 are born into poverty, or maybe it's 7 or 8. I can't remember one of those numbers. And then to married parents, I believe only 1 out of 10 are born into poverty. So, it's
you there, Brian?
Pretty easy step.
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
You got like a cool, fancy microphone now or something?
No, just same old mic.
Oh, okay. Fancy, man.
He's
I
got
might
a,
have the volume. I hadn't been on it forever. The volume might be up.
Yeah, well, my wife got me this fancy headset, so
Sweet.
pimping it out.
You don't look near as dorky in that one, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, what do you?
You need to tell your wife to buy you a better chair. Keep breaking
Oh,
chairs, dude.
Here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. I mean, you guys don't have back surgery, and I got back surgery thanks to the Marine Corps. A couple of bumps will do that to you. So, so Marine Corps, if you're listening, thank you for messing up my back. But, and I'm not gonna even go there. Let's something else. Brian, what do you think about kids in school and protection and all that good stuff we were talking about?
Protection. What are you talking about? You talking about like condoms stuff?
Yeah.
I'm against
we kind of jump into the whole, teachers having handguns to protect the kids, and I'm kind of more into like, it should be the choice, but definitely there should be some type of protection around our schools to protect our children.
I think it's pretty irresponsible not to have it. I mean, I don't really have a problem with teachers having firearms if they have the training. Having said that, I mean, I'm not sure what it's like in every other state, but here in Oklahoma, at least for at least since the 1990s, there's always been a police officer in every single school. When those doors are open, there's at least one officer there at all times. Our local high school has 2 of them that just stay there. One roams the halls, one stays out in the parking lot. I mean, they could absolutely stop every scenario, but they can sure deter a lot just with their presence. And I don't know.
Yeah, I think as a deterrent, it's definitely well worth it. And when you got duplicity and like job titles, I guess is for lack of a better term, but like when you got 4 or 5 people basically doing the same job in a school system, I mean there's money that could be allocated for security that is being wasted, I think, in other realms of our school system. I mean,
you mean like 12th century women's studies?
Well, like in my area, for instance, we've got like there's a school superintendent, and then there's a vice superintendent, and then there's another like his secretary and her secretary. It's like, and none of them really do anything. It's just, but they're drawing a substantial salary.
Yeah,
and it's positions that could be. And you hate to say that because you don't want someone to lose their job, but it's positions that could be terminated that really weren't necessary in the first place. So it's not going to affect the organ. That's not going to affect the way the school system is ran as a whole. But that money could be allocated for
Yeah.
security, which I think would be much
I
better spent.
I asked that question. I asked a question about security and all that good stuff in the school, and they gave me a dirty look, man. It was like I asked a taboo question or something. All I asked is like, hey, if something happened, what do you guys have here in the school implemented to protect my kid? And they looked at me like I was weird. Like I like even I think it was like the assistant principal or something came out because I asked a off the wall question, and all I wanted to know is what do you guys have here implemented? Do you guys have a cop? Do you have some type of evacuation plan? Do you have and Stone Guy is talking is saying something very true. There's so many different physical security measures that could be implemented in a school to protect that kids. Maybe doors that you could lock and open up from a control room or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing some ideas out there. Nobody wants to see like X-ray machines at the school, but we live in this kind of world and it happens. So and the school kind of told me that they didn't have the money. The lady, the principal, assistant principal, whoever she was like, look, we're trying to do this and this and this, but we just don't have the money. And it's just sad that we pay state taxes and they don't have the money. So yeah, I wonder where the money's going. So all right, anything else you guys want to talk about that in that topic? Let's see.
Well, there's a lot of schools now that do have those security doors. They have intercom. You got to buzz it. Because I used to be a delivery guy for FedEx.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was many, many, many times. I mean, it was rare to go to a school and find one that did not have some kind of security door with the buzzer.
Yeah.
And the few that didn't, they always had police officers on site as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's there, but it seems like where these incidents keep happening, those security measures are not in place.
The bottom line is that we could talk about doing a bunch of things, but there's evil out there, people. I mean, we could arm the teachers, and the teacher may flip out and go on a rampage too. I mean, these people that are committing active shooter situation, they have professions too. So that's why me personally, and I said and I continue to say, I pray for my kids every day. That is my way to, and my belief. I pray for my children every day. You have your ways, and I will, and if your way works for you, continue doing your way. But that's what I do. With that being said, let's see what else. We talk about guns. We talk about food.
Just to add on that real quick, I'm with you. I mean, I'm going to trust my children's well-being to God. I'd rather put them in His hands versus the hands of a teacher who's not trained to be a first responder.
Yeah, definitely.
But
very true.
More importantly, I guess I do teach my kids a little bit of self-reliance as well, where they can think on their feet. They can at least I hope they can. That's what I'm trying to raise them to do.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Teach them what the schools are not teaching them. Like, be prepared and always think somewhat worst case scenario.
No doubt.
And I think that'll keep them on their feet.
Now, and Brian is talking about that. You guys got a plan? What do you think is the plan? If something happened, and I know I put a bunch of videos in my channel, but you guys have a plan on how are you going to react to the situation? Being economic collapse, a hurricane. What is the plan that you guys have? Or if you want to talk about it a little bit about your plan. Anybody wants to jump in?
Depends. Here in Oklahoma, we have a lot of tornadoes, so I prepare for tornadoes a lot. Then also, I guess, in a broad aspect, I'm preparing for an economic collapse. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, even if it's not going to be now or 50 years from now, it's going to happen. I mean, I don't know if guys have ever read the book The Great Wave, but that really talks a lot about that, how economies go ebb and flow through just over the last 500 years. I mean, it's just the way that economies work. And right now we're at we've already hit that crest and we're heading down. But either way, I think preparing for just one thing is kind of foolish anyway. You want to prepare for life. So, I mean, I do prepare for certain things, like I said, tornadoes, and we don't get many floods here in Oklahoma, but I'm even somewhat prepared for that. Heck, I'm even somewhat prepared for nuclear fallout too.
That's a pretty good one.
I think it also depends on your scenario. I mean, like if you're talking about the economy, if it collapses like most of us think it's going to, emergency services are going to be taxed. They're going to be held together by a thin thread. So what comes with that? 911. Phone lines are going to be tied up. So you got to think about that. Do you have a backup communication plan?
Man, there's ham radio operators all over the place, including me. I mean,
and then from that, what do you do? Exactly, that bow thing right there. So, I mean, do you have a rally point? Can you get to a safe location with people that you know? Because the more urban the area, the higher likelihood of you're going to be encountering somebody that's going to want to take your stuff. So, I mean, you got to think about those things, contingency plans. If it doesn't look too bad, at the moment, it could get worse. Of course, it could blow over too. So it's something you got to play by ear, But if you really think it's going to get real bad, and you've actually got a safe place to go to, when it starts looking that way, it might be time to get out and use those backup communications.
I mean, real bad is a subjective word, but because I was saying that the economy is going to collapse doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be an end of life. More of a way of a end of a way of life. But the thing is, I mean, we still have to prepare for it, even though we don't know what degree it's going to hit us. I mean, even if it was another just an economic downturn like it was in 2008, a lot of people weren't prepared for it. I mean, it didn't really affect us here, but I would have been prepared if it had. Saving just a way to survive if I had lost my job or something like that.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, because I got hit hard by that. I don't know if you guys know this, but I think I've told Jarhead. I might have told you, Brian. But 2008, the end of 2008, I actually had to plan to be homeless. I had to put all of my stuff in storage, and I had to live on the streets all through the winter. And it was tough because I lost my job, and I had to go find another one and work my way back up. So it's possible to survive, but it is the worst place to be. And if it would have been something really bad instead of just a mild financial problem, like say if it was a total collapse, I would have been vulnerable. So, and I was anyway, but not to the degree we think of with a complete financial collapse or without rule of law.
Do you know what that's called? It's called a learning experience. I guarantee you won't let that happen to you again.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a shame that so many people have to suffer like that before they can really change things about the way they live. Because I guarantee you're a lot more frugal now than you were, weren't you? Or at least I would assume. And I'm assuming a lot since this is your life.
I am more frugal, but at the same time, I try not to let things like that surprise me,
Yeah, no doubt.
And I learned a lot of warning signs. The financial pinch was not only affecting people as far as housing goes, but it was affecting corporations, and they were making all kinds of cuts, and that's what happened. So I pay attention to these little subtleties now that I didn't pay attention to before.
be to.
Yeah, I think that's not going to get much better on this next time around either. I think there's going to be same thing. People are going to just be caught off guard, just as you were.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it happened to me when it did. You know, that's my whole take on it. Now that I'm past that, not to say that it couldn't happen again, but you know, I'm glad it happened to me.
Yeah, it sure makes you skeptical, though. Well, maybe not you, but it
I
would
like
be.
to look at it from the other end. I'm optimistic about it because I made it through that.
Yeah.
Optimism.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
It could have been worse.
Yeah.
And no doubt.
And it's for you guys watching, I put the links down in the guys here in the panel. I put the link in the description box. Brian's link is there too because they asked for yours. Is the one that it says something heavy to you something, so it's in there.
Oh, heavy BT. Wow, is that what's showing up?
Yeah.
I haven't gone by that in forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to go by heavy BTU. That was when I was really fat, though, man.
Yeah, pretty soon I'm gonna change my channel to Jahar 6 Fat. So
Yeah, mine's Worldwide Bushcraft and Survival.
yeah, but that's what I'm trying to figure. I apologize if I haven't seen your comments. I mean, we got comments coming from my email, the little tab on the right, the Google Plus. I'm not really used to running so many comments. I'm sure Nick could, he's the expert on this. So
Pain in the butt. It's a lot of work, isn't it?
yeah. So let me see what else. So we talked about a bunch of things. So definitely a plan, man. That's one of the things that I seen a lot of people locking that they have zero plan when it comes down. And I said prepare now, the title of this chat, but things like a home invasion, a hurricane, economic collapse, whatever, something basic like a home invasion that happens pretty much all the time. You could be a victim to that, and people don't even have a plan. Like, what do you do if somebody start, banging on your door, kicking your door? What are you gonna do? And that's one of the things now that I started putting videos out there on home defense, I'm trying to kind of pass some information to people because I'm not an expert, but people need to start having a plan. As basic as, hey, you call the police, you get the gun, we're gonna go into this room, we're gonna lock ourselves in this room, and that's why a lot of people are finding themselves to be victims because they have no plan. Like people are living so much in Facebook that they don't have a plan to do anything, and then when something happens, I never knew that this was gonna happen to me. Like, really? Like, wake up, just like GI was talking about with all the signs. Look up, have situational awareness. If you're walking on Walmart parking lot and you see like 3 dudes that don't look too friendly, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, most likely you're gonna get jumped and they're gonna take your stuff. So be prepared to react to that. And I don't know. Pretty much what I'm saying is that America don't have situational awareness. We need to have situational awareness. We need.
Well, I want to throw in one thing. I want to throw in one thing here we kind of hit on a little bit before, and I think it's something we have to plan for. So, if the doomsday, whichever we say happens, I think something needs to prepare for, especially if you're in an urban or semi-urban setting. Is you're going to have people or you could be possibly friends with your neighbors. Bad stuff could happen between you and them. If in my neighborhood, I'm sure I'm the only one that has any sort of food and storage and stuff. And guess what's going to happen? 3, 4, 5, 6 days, those people are going to start getting hungry, and they're going to probably start going door to door, and they may think they're all that with a little revolver they've kept around or Jimenez. So there might be something to where just because someone when things are good doesn't mean that they'll be acting the same way afterwards. Because I think you prefaced it before, is when stuff goes bad, you may have to make some decisions about people that are close, because who's going to be your biggest enemy is, basically like roving types of gangs, people coming from urban areas to less urban areas, and most importantly, the people around you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people have to, unfortunately, put at least a little thinking into.
I think Brian is back, and you said something in that scenario, and like I said, a lot of guys like to prepare for the worst possible course of action, but something as simple as your neighbor knocking on your door and asking you for something, that could go from something so innocent or into a really bad situation. So people need to know how to respond to that. In some type of economical action, some type of 5, 6, 2 weeks without food, and somebody knocks on your door. What are you going to do? How are you going to respond? Are you going to share some of your food? I mean, that's a crazy topic. Are you guys going to share your food with your neighbor? I mean, what do you think about that, Stone?
I mean, that's a tough question, because I would definitely, I would hate to be so pompous, but I would want them to be able to offer me something as well. I mean, charity's great and everything, but if we're really talking about a situation where it's a social collapse or economical collapse, I mean, you got to look after number one.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one, because it kind of becomes a moral dilemma from being a good person that wants to help as many people as you can, but keeping in mind you have yourself and your own family to be prepared for, and to try to survive and live out as long as you can. If you start giving away your food and your supplies, I don't know.
What about the beans and rice? I mean, I'm not saying you have to give your food away when they come knocking on your door, but one thing that might be able to buy you some time is to go ahead and do that ahead of time. Because then they won't be knocking on your door. And they'll be looking out for you. And if something does go bad to the point where you got to get out of there for any reason, at least you're not going to have your neighbors get it.
Yeah, we've talked about that before on other chats, where we've posed the scenario or the question of, well, let's say you do have several good friends or neighbors, and what would you do? And some of us said, well, we'd even consider taking them in, and because there's strength in numbers, so then it's a balancing act between strength in numbers and having enough supplies to sustain more people.
Are we talking about neighbors that are prepping as well, or just come to you for help?
Just coming down, asking for help.
Well, be a little proactive. Talk to them now about
that's what I was trying to say. Give them a bag of beans, give them a bag of rice, and say, hey, man, you might want to start doing this yourself.
Exactly. I mean, even if nothing else, at least maybe have them ask them to start prepping on stuff that you're lacking, maybe, and that way you'll be able to mutually benefit each other if the time came. And plus, it's always good to have allies.
Yeah. I mean, I would say when it comes down to, and I'm not talking about the little things, if we ever go into some type of something crazy, terrorist attack, economic collapse, we talk about that. We need to start educating ourselves, because it's not going to be as easy. It's not going to be. A lot of guys think I'm going to stay inside my house with my cool-looking rifle. It's not going to be as easy. It takes a lot, and it's the truth. How many channels we see here with a cool rifle, and they think they're going to survive? If you think you're going to survive something like that just because you have a cool AR, you are wrong. The bad guys also have cool weapons. So don't think you're going to be the only one with the cool AR. The bad guy that is going to come and try to take away your food, he's also going to have a cool weapon system, most likely.
Like a high point or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. A 22 revolver. But I mean, the point is that little things, contingency plans. You have to like write down, like seriously, like sit down and write down your plan. This is what's going to happen, and the Marine Corps does this pretty well when you're briefing a patrol and a mission to your troops. You got to have a plan. Your plan has to cover many different things, and it's going to take you a long time to build that plan the way you want to. You have to have contingency plans. What most likely is going to happen? What will be the worst course of action? What's going to be the worst thing? And you prepare for that, but you also got to know what's going to be the most likely course of action that will happen. You have to cover bug out procedures. If you don't have a way to leave the house, you never know, something happened. You have to have a way to medevac or evacuate your house into another location. If you get overrun by riots or something, you have to have a medevac plan for if somebody gets shot. What are you gonna do? You have to have a security plan. You know what I'm saying? You may want to go out there and do some patrols, just to walk out to see what's going on out there. 2-3 miles away from your house. There's a lot of things that has to be covered, and each sector is going to have different requirements. So, start educating yourself out there, people. That's what I would say when it comes down to that. Maybe I'm talking too much.
Nah, you're making sense. I mean, I still think one of the most underrated preps is still like ham radios, just for the simple fact that with repeaters, you know what's going on 40, 50, well, depending on, well, I guess you don't have to worry about FCC at that point, but you can even find out what's going on, 100, 150 miles away from you. And that gives you a little bit of time to prepare impending doom or impending dangers. If you have roaming hordes or something, drastic like that, it gives you a little bit of time to prepare.
Yeah.
And I gotta say that bow thing. I've got one of those UV5 RBs coming, and that sucker is awesome. You can program radio stations on that sucker.
Get the UV82X. It has the motherboard on it, and they cost a little bit less, and they sound so much better, man. It's unbelievable. They just came out just a few months ago, and they cost about the same.
Do they take away your accent?
Do what?
When you
they do that too. They do that too, man.
Does it make you sound like a country boy?
Yeah. Anything you want, there's a button on there. There's a voice changer button.
That was one of the best things they did with the UV82X is change the sound of it. Now on my CB, it's another side, and especially if I'm on upper or lower sidebands, get that Mickey Mouse, redneck Mickey Mouse sound, that squeak.
You can even sound like a cool special ops guy.
Can I use it while I'm playing Call of Duty?
Yeah, you sure can.
Yeah. Now we know your wife didn't buy you that fancy headset. You want it for Call of Duty.
Man, I never. My boys play video games all the time, man, and I tried to at one point, and I just cannot do it. But in my defense, I did play Call of Duty in real life, and it wasn't that much fun. I wish I could take it back.
I'm not sure, Brian, if you know about it, but I also got one of those throat mics.
Yeah.
Not because it's cool, but because it's actually functional. It'll cut out the background. You don't have to speak really loud.
Which throat mic did you get? I guess you got the fail thing was?
The Sakuda.
Okay. Yeah, man, some of them actually work really, really well. I mean, there was a cheap one that I had. I think that didn't work all that great. But, man, I was actually surprised at how well those work. But I still, for the most part, because I use the little Surefire earbuds for work, and I will just have mine plugged in that jack. But I like that.
Yeah. And we got a question, and we were talking about where our taxes are going and things like that. What do you guys think about police? Maybe I don't know if this is part of the topic or not, but they ask police using MRAC vehicles and things like that.
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that scares me, especially the law enforcement around here.
Yeah.
That's like everywhere, man.
Man, it's funny because our county sheriff, they rock, and actually some of the smaller towns around here, because we have to call for assistance with them every once in a while. But I was at a house a couple weeks ago, and I had a perp who was giving me all kinds of problems, so I had to call LE, and man, an hour and a half later, I had it already taken care of. They finally called, said, "Hey, you still needing us?" And I'm like, "Never mind, I won't give the gesture what I did."
Yeah.
Well, I would say
Just
I would say for all the maybe all the police departments in North Carolina and Atlanta that are getting MRAPs, put some snowplows on them.
Oh yeah, right.
A good use.
I
Yeah.
actually did a video on that
Yeah, I
specifically on
remember.
my channel because that's what my brother drove in Iraq, and Bradley tanks and a few other
Yeah.
things. But absolutely not. I absolutely hate the idea. I mean, if your plan, I mean, an MRAP is pretty much good at one thing, and that's eating explosives.
Yep.
Um, what use is that? I cover all the uses. I just did a video on that
Yeah.
a while ago, so I'll plug it. But
Well, it goes back to, I mean, we have a big issue right now with tactical cool, looking cool. I mean, it's just funny. There's people like you said. I had a license to drive an AMRAP, which I'm sure is expired. Being expired for a couple of years, but that vehicle is meant to take a blast. I mean, that's what it's designed for, to take a blast, take an IED, and be able to survive. And I don't really see a reason why our police department would have a vehicle that is designed to take an IED strike. Other than that, they're uncomfortable to drive. They suck. One of the things that I remember was that when you drive, you have a place to put your left foot. Like you have a place to put him. The MRAP, the way that it's set up, or at least the ones that I drove, they don't have a place to put your left foot. So you kind of using your right leg to hit to brake and all that stuff, and then you don't know what to do with your left leg. So it's kind of uncomfortable as hell. But
man, don't tell me you use both feet to drive.
no. Like you have
crap.
to. If I could explain this the right way, you have to like bring your left leg all the way in, and then your right leg. It's just, especially when you're driving for 6, 7 a whole day, it's just
I know
uncomfortable.
what he's talking about.
You know what I'm saying, Gi?
Yeah.
You've been there, but
It's the same thing. You remember when they used to put the sandbags in the Humvee
Yep.
and you pile them all up like where your left leg is supposed to go? You can't put your left leg there either.
Yeah.
So you got to curl your leg up, and it's just, if you're sitting there for hours and hours on convoy,
Oh, yeah.
it is uncomfortable.
Yep. And I took a strike back in 2004. My truck took a strike right in front of us, an IED strike, and we had the sandbags, just like you say, and I remember, man, it sucks. But I don't think police force should have that. That's a combat vehicle. That's not designed to be drove in Highway 95. You know what I'm saying? That's not what we designed that vehicle for. And that vehicle costs $1 million. I don't even know. I'm not gonna say it, but you could have up to $1 million between the vehicle and the equipment that it has inside. Cameras or whatever. So why are we buying those vehicles? We don't
Well,
need
they're
them.
not buying them. They already bought them, and
Yeah.
since they're sitting, they're not being used. I think what they've done
They're
is just giving
donated.
them away.
Yeah, they're donated because
Yeah,
they're
that's
decommissioned, demilitarized, decommissioned vehicles that they donate to police departments. And I'm kind of split, torn on that because in my exposure to them, they're really they're meant as a deterrent for crowd control and different things like that. But it does kind of it's kind of a gray area between the militarization of the police force, which I'm not for. Even being in law enforcement, I'm still not. I'm not down with that. I don't take the stance that that a police are not civilians. I consider police civilians just like anybody else.
Yeah. It's like the whole police look, and we're probably off topic, but is becoming from when I was a police officer and we look good, our uniforms were pressed. We wear a black gear with a pistol, looking professional, to looking like operators. Like you see those guys in New Mexico that killed that guy. Those guys look like operators. And I mean, I don't know how they respond in New Mexico. When I went to a call as a police officer, I didn't show up there with a flat jacket and an AR-15. I show up there with my Beretta M9 with hollow points that we had.
Right. And that was probably a special response team, because most of our officers now, like either in traffic or patrol, are still uniformed officers. We still have a what's that word? We all wear the same uniform. Universal. I can't think of the word. I'm at a loss, but anyway, I need a thesaurus. But
duty uniform?
No, well, ours are actually like either brown or gray. But
I think choices are good. You have to have choices. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have an AR-15 in the back of your car. You have to have a choice if something happened to be able to respond. But from the moment that you got out and knock on the door, you're like all tactical, cool looking. That's a little bit too much for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I started seeing that more and more. Not just with the special teams, but also drug enforcement and things like that. The city drug enforcement, and they were going around running ACUs, universal camo, digital, and they had plate carriers on, and they look like operators. They just didn't have Kevlars.
Right,
Yep.
and they
had contractor caps on.
the SRT
Joe,
team.
I have something for you, brother. Send me your email address, and I'm going to send this to you, brand new, free, just so I can understand your weird butt. I'm going to drive me nuts.
Yeah.
You talking to me, Brian?
Yeah.
You gonna send them a new microphone?
You know I love you, brother.
Hey, Brian, I think I'm going to take you up because it's been long enough with the stupid mic.
And I'm going to say something the Stone guy was talking about.
Send me in the inbox or my YouTube messaging.
All right.
You're talking about being able to deter a crime, but in a way, it's kind of like, you got an MRAP and you're driving around. You deterring the crime, but at the same time, you're scaring the people too. Like if I see an MRAP driving, I'm in a military town. We see 53s, V-22s every day. Like every time I'm doing a video, I gotta pause because I got a V-22 flying over me. But
That's too 1984ish to me, man. But I will say this, if you don't mind me interrupting.
Yeah.
If they want to get rid of MRADs, I mean, I'm part of the emergency management committee here. I mean, give it to the emergency management. I mean, I don't even know if they would really be able to use it, but at least it's less threatening.
Yeah. And we use those vehicles in case of hurricanes and things like that, because they could drive through anything. So, but I think that it is a deterrent. If I see an MRAP coming, but at the same time, it is a vehicle that they have that is going to scare the people. And if something ever happened, they will utilize that vehicle against the people at a heartbeat. They're not going to be like, they're going to use it against the people if they have to. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where it's kind of a slippery slope and a real conundrum in a sense, because and like I said there again, in my experience, those vehicles aren't deployed just as a random patrol unit. Those vehicles are only deployed in a situation where SRT is trying to breach a building, or if there's a potential for a riot, like after a big
Yeah.
sports event or something, they go ahead and stage that vehicle there as a deterrent, as a show of force, because let's be honest. There's situations that have occurred. I mean, you're talking just sports games. If a team loses, the city riots and starts destroying businesses and flipping cars and burning people's vehicles. I mean, just stupid stuff over a sports team not winning. So
They won't do it in my house.
well, and that's the thing. It is you're on the cusp of being that military force, but in the same sense, you've got to be able to maintain a level of, and I hate to use the word intimidation because I know that policing in its inception that's not what it's about. It's to protect and serve. It's not to intimidate the general public. But in a situation like that, there's really no other alternative but to be that intimidating force to try to deter these crazy people from looting and ruining businesses, and you know what I'm saying, and people's personal property, and so
And
it
that's
is.
not really,
It's a
but
tough.
in using them in that context, I mean, it has some validity just because it's preventing. It's almost like preventive maintenance. I mean, you just think of something like that during the what was it, the 92 or 93 LA riots? Imagine
Right.
having something like that.
Yeah.
But then again, I think it really have to be used for limited occasions and for limited
Right.
reasons.
And I think that's the caveat we should add to that, because I think the bigger issue, not that they have it at their disposal. I think the bigger issue is showing some restraint and some good judgment on when to utilize that piece of equipment, and not just pull it out whenever they have the chance at the drop of a hat because they have it. And I
Yeah.
think I think that goes a long way with any aspect of law enforcement, that you've
Yeah.
got to be able to have some couth and some restraint and some
Good
some
leadership.
good tact.
I'm reading here the comments, and Matt was saying that they do deploy them on what do you say, peaceful events. But yeah, I mean, I guess I do agree in some kind of way that we have to have some type of force that could respond to a heavy scenario. If a couple of guys go crazy, start shooting people, we have to have some type of force that respond to that. I'm just not cool. I'm not cool with two things. The first one, I don't really like too much, as the cops get a bunch of gear, and they got all this cool tactical gear, all these cool weapons, and they try to take away mines. I'm not really cool with the government arming themselves and trying to take my weapons, or the weapons of the people. And the other one is just for scenarios like that. Yeah, go up there, and if you have to take care of business, you got to take care of business. But to respond as a SRT or something like that, you shouldn't be responding. An SRT should not respond to a call. You're there to go into some type of scenario. But I seen SRT guys going to traffic stop. When I was a police
Wow.
officer, we saw SRT pulling people over, and I'm like, why are you doing that, man? Don't pull people over, because you're gonna get out of the car looking like an operator, and you're gonna intimidate people, and that shouldn't be what you're doing. Uh, it's like a level of escalation. Yeah, if something happened, yeah, let's respond with this force, but force should be kind of equal in a way. You shouldn't like the homeless guy. We had like four looking operators that went up there and to take care of business with K9 shotguns, AR. Like that was like way above there. But that's
Yeah,
just my opinion.
that was a cluster from the word go.
My kids playing Call of Duty would have done a better job in that one.
Oh yeah,
But
they completely did that all wrong.
so I think we kind of went off topic there, but that's okay. that's a good thing about YouTube. You can talk about whatever you want. So, anything you guys want to talk about? Anything you guys think? You know, we kind of coming up to the end. Anything you guys want to touch? What's the deal? Anything?
No, I just want to say again. I think I said this on the last chat I was on, but I'm continued to be impressed by how respectful everybody is on your chats, and it's really refreshing to be able to come on to a chat and not have to, you know, worry about people speaking over each other, and you know, it's nice to have a, you know, educated, you know, well-rounded conversation with a great bunch of guys.
Well, I'm not educated. That's why I bring Brian over.
Which Brian you're talking about?
I got a couple of college degree, but I don't know how I got him. So, anything you guys want to plug in? And I know I'm kind of reading the comments, and Matt is talking about training and you know, justifying the training, justifying the buying the truck and things like that. And I do agree. You like Stone was saying, you know, in some places maybe you may have it, but in some other places don't. If you got a small town where there's no crime, there's no reason for you to have all this crazy looking gear. But I think we got enough on that. Anything you want to plug in, Nick?
Check us out on Facebook. Right now we're giving away a bunch of Tough Stuff products, so you can check that out. And always hit us up on iTunes. And Instagram. If for the people that may not be into Instagram, if you're into guns, get on Instagram because it's awesome. So you can find us at instagram.com/practicallytactical.
Cool.
Man, you can only find me on YouTube, man.
Yeah, I've got to keep my social media limited.
What you got, GI? You got anything?
Hey, what's about? Can you hear me?
No, you're breaking up
last
real
part.
bad now.
Oh, great. Well, anyway, I was just going to add my little 2 cents about the MRAPs. I got a feeling that they're going to justify it by stating something that has to do with explosives. That's just my gut.
I can't think anybody can hear you. Did you guys catch that?
No.
You broke it up pretty bad, Joe.
Oh, well.
But that will be remedied.
I'm sure it was a good point.
That was a great point.
Were you gonna say? Didn't you say you were gonna send him that microphone like 4 months ago?
Yeah.
He would never send me his address. I think he doesn't want me stalking him again. I mean, stalking him.
Butch Hunt, Tony, you got anything you want to plug in?
I'm still trying to do more videos, man. I've been really busy with a whole bunch of channels doing their logos and some editing their videos for the trailers and intros. So I've been busy with other channels.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm still trying to do my stuff whenever I can.
Well, that's a nice fridge you got there. That looks
Thank
top
you.
notch.
That actually looks pretty nice, man.
It's a tactical stainless steel fridge, isn't it? It's tactical everything.
Tactical. Tactical on this side.
You should put a couple of patches, Velcro,
Right.
and patches all over.
Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta hop in here for a funny story. So I went and bought a safe a couple weeks ago, and so I was gonna take my patches and stickers and put them on my safe. I'm downstairs in my unfinished basement, and my wife got pissed that I was gonna put stickers and patches on my safe.
I got stickers for mine.
I was like, really?
What's up with that? My wife got mad at me for the same thing.
I know. She's like, I'm like, you don't come down here. You're never gonna get in it. Well, she doesn't know the combination anyways, thankfully, because then she know how much crap I buy.
What kind of
Did
patches?
she say it looked tacky?
Rainbow or something?
Yeah, she's like, well, what if people see it? And I'm like, well, for one, it's downstairs in an unfinished basement. No one's gonna see it.
Yeah.
And even if we were finished our basement, it's still gonna be in my corner. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, at least I
the
guess.
same thing.
Yeah. Okay, well, at least my wife's not the only one, I
Yeah,
guess.
she's like, it's going to be tacky if you put stickers all over it. I'm like, well, it's a gun safe.
I don't got a safe. I got a locker. So, but it's pretty good looking locker. I should do a video on it. But I do got stickers all over. Like I got like Marine Corps stickers and like Staff Sergeant and what is it on their 8-day God created Marines, things like that. Like old motivator and stuff. So, anyways, what was Brian? You got anything you want to plug in? You're gonna start making videos?
No. Every time I regret it all the time, and I keep thinking, I'm not. I keep having this one company trying to send me stuff to test, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to.
Yeah.
Every month or so, I'll kind of get the bug, and then if I do anything, I'll just re-upload all those videos that I deleted like a year and a half ago.
It's funny because people think that you make a lot of money on YouTube or something. You barely make any money.
Yeah,
I know
you used to, but not anymore.
Not anymore. I mean, so it is what it is. So, File 4, are you still there? I think File 4 is gone.
Yep.
All right, guys. So, just real quick, the last thing I got, I kind of started a new series on Tuesdays. Is home defense. So I'm just gonna share some things that I from experience, some things that I learned. I'm not perfect, so it may be good, it may not be good. So please go ahead and check it out. On Saturdays, I'm kind of doing like not gear, I wouldn't say gear review, but I'm doing videos on gear, kind of take a look at a gear. And that you're gonna see that on my channel. And also, I've been doing a bunch of mail call videos. So if you got any questions or something, let me know. And then I'm making videos on mail call. So I've been putting a lot of videos because I'm pretty much bored. So that's the main reason why. I'm sure when I start working, I'm not gonna be able to make that many videos. I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks a lot for the support, and thanks a lot for all the new subscribers. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.